The chief twit, or first buddy Elon Musk, whatever you want to call him, had a bit of a meltdown after being asked why DOGE seems to have failed in their mission to save taxpayers $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse.
You've talked about $4 billion a day being saved, but that won't get, which is, and I think everyone can agree that combating waste and inefficiency in government is a very good thing. But if you add that up, it's not going to get to 2 trillion over the lifetime of DOGE.
There's what DOGE. I mean, I feel you're somewhat trapped in the NPC dialogue tree of a traditional journalist. So it's difficult when I'm conversing with someone who's trapped in the dialogue tree of a conventional journalist, because it's like talking to a computer.
It's like talking to a computer, everybody. Yes, and talking to you is like talking to a moron. Oh, wait, that's exactly what it is. A guy who pretends to be smart, but actually isn't. Yeah, that's what that is. I think I've nailed it. All right. How dare you, though, ask a logical question based on the things that I have actually said? First, he claimed that he's going to, with DOGE, save $2 trillion. And then he's like, oh, actually, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to save $2 trillion. Maybe we'll save $1 trillion. And then, oops, I didn't actually do that at all. These damn NPCs, though, they're locked in their dialogue trees. Yeah, that's what it is. Really? Because I think your dialogue tree is broken. Okay. Some bad programming on it, perhaps. I don't know. I do know that it sounds like you're going through some massive cope and seethe. All right. After DOGE failed to do their stated goal. All right. Because that's embarrassing. That, by the way, here's the thing, though. There was the stated goal of DOGE, and then there's the real goal of DOGE. What do I mean? Well, we know the stated goal, right? To eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, and save taxpayers' money. That's what we're saying that the whole thing was supposed to be about, right? But the real goal, as I mentioned, is to hobble government agencies that were investigating Elon Musk and his businesses. And in that, DOGE has been a complete and total success. All right. Now, of course, it only came at the cost of his reputation, which is in the crapper, as well as his civilian customer base, which is boycotting him. But don't worry, though. He's going to be okay. He's got a ton of government contracts. That's right. Government taxpayer contracts that are going to keep him very, very wealthy for the rest of his days. So I guess he's going to be all right. As opposed to the rest of us, of course, who are being absolutely eviscerated thanks to the DOGE cuts. Yeah. Now, there's another video here, and it's where Musk goes on to make some excuses.
DOGE is an advisory group. We are doing the best we can as an advisory group. The progress made thus far as an advisory group is excellent. I don't think any advisory group has done better in the history of advisory groups for the government. Now, we do not make the laws, nor do we control the judiciary, nor do we control the executive branch. We are simply advisors. In that context, we are doing very well. Beyond that, we cannot take action beyond that, because we are not some sort of imperial dictator of the government. Mm-hmm. There are three branches of government that are to some degree opposed to that level of cost savings. But nonetheless, let's not criticize whether there's 4 trillion, and instead look at the fact that 160 billion has been saved, and more will be saved too.
So let me just address there something that he said that was very Trumpian, because you could tell he hung around Mar-a-Lago for quite some time. And so when I heard him say, I don't think any advisory group has done better in the history of advisory groups for the government, that's a Trumpian thing. He picked that right up. Okay. He picked it up. But all right. Anyway, guys, we're doing the best that we can. You know, we're not dictators. Really? Well, you kind of acted like it when you shut down things like USAID and other agencies that require congressional approval. And so you've had a lot of court cases reversing some of those decisions that you have made. So that's kind of a dictator thing to do. But all right, now you said, well, we saved billions of dollars. Now he said, 60 billion? But then there's different figures that are like, oh, we actually saved about $170 billion. Well, no, he didn't. Again, only $70.9 billion of that figure, of the $170 billion that they allegedly saved, is itemized. And of that, a lot of those supposed savings are pretty questionable. All right. So let me give you some examples. The contracts that they canceled to save money, many of them were already complete. The money was already spent. So you didn't cancel anything. There's no savings there. And not only that, but some of the purported canceled projects were not actually canceled. Yes. For example, the $38.7 million contract for wastewater monitoring for COVID, that apparently DOGE claimed that we saved $38 million, everybody, by canceling this. CBS News, however, contacted the company that had the contract, Verily Life Sciences, who disputed its cancellation and said, no, we actually still have a contract. Yeah, the contract's still active. Oops. Now, a CDC spokesperson also confirmed that this was active and clarified that the contract was only modified, not canceled. Quote, this was an expired scope of work that has been superseded by a new working contract. The new contract, listed in government databases, is valued at $41 million and extends through August 6th, 2026.
Whoopsie.
Oops. Oh no. But it gets better. Of the $170 billion allegedly saved through making these cuts, it actually costs about $130 billion. One analysis by researchers and institutions, including the University of Maryland and University of Pennsylvania, estimates the cuts to the health research, which is just one thing that was cut, will result in about $16 billion in annual economic loss from the 68,000 jobs that have been lost. Another thing that isn't mentioned is, of course, the cost of litigation, the cost of firing people and then having to rehire them. So you've got all of that, all right? And there's more. Another analysis notes the IRS could end up foregoing about $323 billion in tax revenue over the next decade due to lower tax compliance and a decline in audits. Now, that's a result, of course, of firing about 40% of IRS staff. So there you go. Oops, that's according to the Yale Budget Lab. Hey, but you know what? They're okay with that because, well, that just means less billionaires getting, having to pay taxes and getting audited. So we're totally fine with that. Look, at the end of the day, DOGE is a perverse joke. They took the lie that government programs that help the poor are filled with waste, fraud, and abuse. Nobody likes waste, fraud, and abuse. And the poor are often the targets of these kinds of scams, where you have people, oh, look at how much money we're wasting on those welfare queens. We're going to have to do something about that because they're taking all the money. They're taking all the money. When in reality, it's giant corporations and people like Elon Musk that are taking the money. And look, they took that lie and then they used it to cut the agencies that actually were trying to root out waste, fraud, and abuse by giant corporations, while cutting things that actually help average working people. Okay? And so, yes, it may be a joke, but ain't no one laughing except for the ones that are able to run to the bank with all of their ill-gotten gains. Okay? So, look, I want to give credit here to Mishal Husain, who actually attempted during that entire interview to try to hold Elon Musk accountable. She is now, of course, likely getting all sorts of angry threats from chuds and Musk bootlickers. Which is, of course, how you know that her questions were really good, valid, and struck a nerve. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.